Welcome back to Jenny Exposes, where we peel back the layers of reality TV deception. And today, we are diving headfirst into the absolute wreckage of Kody Brown's custody battle for Truly. Picture this, because it might just be the most defining image of Kody's true character. Kody Brown, standing in a courtroom, holding his hands up defensively, backing away from a massive, towering stack of invoices. The caption on this scene reads, "He charged her to babysit?" We have to talk about the viral rumor that is absolutely destroying Kody's remaining credibility. The unsolved mystery hanging over this entire family breakdown is whether Kody secretly refused to watch Truly unless Christine compensated him out of her meager household grocery money. If you are as obsessed with uncovering the truth behind this messy split as I am, please take a second right now to hit that like button and subscribe to Jenny Exposes. Your support helps us keep digging for the facts the Browns don't want you to see. Now let's get into the devastating self-own that Kody is currently executing on a global stage. The sheer irony of the situation is enough to make your head spin. Kody is currently screaming to anyone who will listen, demanding 50-50 joint custody of Truly. He's out here claiming he is her equal parent, a devoted father who has been unjustly separated from his youngest daughter with Christine. But there is a massive problem with this narrative: history. Kody spent the first decade of Truly's life publicly acting like a highly inconvenienced, unpaid intern. He wasn't a parent. He was a visitor who expected a red carpet rollout every time he graced Christine's home with his presence. And now, the past has come back to haunt him in the most glorious digital way. A devastating clip from the Vegas era has resurfaced and gone viral, and it completely dismantles Kody's modern-day rewriting of history. This is the ultimate trap moment for Kody Brown. In the clip, Christine, who was incredibly busy at the time, politely asks Kody to watch his own children, mind you, these are his biological children, so she can have a few uninterrupted hours to study for her real estate exam. This was a critical moment for their family's financial future, and Christine was trying to better herself. Kody's response? It wasn't, "Of course, honey, go study, I got this." Instead, Kody famously snaps back at her, stating with absolute disdain that he is not a babysitter. Let that sink in for a moment. A father of 18 children told one of their mothers that caring for his own offspring is babysitting. This one sentence exposes the fundamental flaw in Kody Brown's operating system. It creates an impossible credibility dilemma for him in a court of law. Kody is now trapped by his own on-camera laziness, and there is no escape. If he attempts to walk into a courtroom and claim under oath that he was a hands-on dad who was always involved in Truly's daily care, Christine's lawyers don't even need to speak. They just need to press play on a decade's worth of TLC footage that proves him a liar. However, if he admits the truth, that he routinely refused to watch his own kid because he deemed it beneath him or too inconvenient, he automatically concedes the entire custody argument. He admits that Christine was, functionally, a single mother for the entirety of Truly's life. He cannot have it both ways. He cannot demand the rights of an equal parent when the public record shows he consistently shirked the responsibilities. The stakes here are escalating far beyond just visitation schedules. We are talking about serious financial and professional ramifications. This babysitter clip is the smoking gun for retroactive child support. Christine's lawyers can, and absolutely should, use Kody's own babysitter logic against him. If he wants to view his time with his children as a transactional service, then let's look at the numbers. If he didn't contribute significant time, physical labor, or hands-on care for 14 years, then he owes Christine for 14 years of sole financial and physical responsibility. You cannot refuse to do the work and then expect to not pay the person who did. Every diaper Christine changed alone, every sick night she spent awake while Kody was elsewhere, every school drop-off and pickup he missed, all of that has a monetary value in a retroactive support calculation. This brings us to what I like to call the knockout blow, the brutal side-by-side editing that is taking over social media. You have Kody in 2024 squeezing out dry tears, crying that he wants his time with Truly, spliced perfectly with Kody in 2014, huffing, puffing, and rolling his eyes at the mere prospect of being left alone with her for just 2 hours. The contrast is devastating. It exposes Kody's entire emotional arc as a performance. He doesn't miss Truly. He misses the control he used to exert over Christine through Truly. This entire saga is a fascinating character study on Kody's core behavioral flaw: weaponized incompetence. For years, Kody viewed parenting his non-Robin children not as a fundamental duty of a father, but as a favor he did for his wives, provided it didn't conflict with his schedule or mood. If he showed up to a birthday party, he expected praise. If he put a child to bed, he expected a medal. By framing basic parenting as something that was either babysitting or a chore, he effectively opted out of the unglamorous daily grind of raising a family. This weaponized incompetence allowed him to drift between houses, demanding respect without doing the work, while the mothers of his children did the heavy lifting. This strategy worked when the women were complacent, but now that Christine has broken free, Kody's old excuses are crumbling. His attempted emotional appeal to the public is failing because it's inherently inauthentic. Kody is trying to rewrite history, claiming he was too busy working to provide to watch Truly during those early years. He wants us to believe he was out there building an empire to secure their future. But fans of the show are quick, and they immediately pointed out that he literally didn't have a real job outside of the show during those years. Selling firearms accessories at trade shows a few weekends a year does not constitute a career that prevents you from parenting your child on a Tuesday. The Browns lived off that sweet TLC money and whatever MLMs the wives were running. Kody was not a busy executive. He was a reality TV star with a lot of free time that he chose not to spend with Christine's children. This all points to the central thematic hypocrisy that has finally brought Kody Brown down. He demanded absolute respect and the title of patriarch. He wanted to be the head of the household, the leader of the family, the ultimate authority. Yet he fundamentally refused to do the basic, unglamorous work required to earn that title. True patriarchs don't view their children as a burden or their care as babysitting. True leaders in a family are down on the floor playing. They are making breakfast. They are cleaning up vomit at 3 a.m. Kody wanted the crown, but he didn't want to rule. He just wanted to be adored. Now, the reality check has set in, and the isolation is total. The entire narrative of "Christine took my kid" evaporates the second you look at the evidence. The public record shows Kody practically begged Christine to take the kids away so he wouldn't have to deal with them. He repeatedly prioritized one household, one wife, and one set of children, pushing the others away. He created the distance, and Christine simply formalized it by moving. We are watching a man come face to face with the consequences of his own ego and neglect. This custody battle isn't just about Truly. It's a reckoning for 14 years of weaponized incompetence and conditional parenting. Let's really unpack the darkest rumor circulating in the Sister Wives universe right now, the one that makes that babysitter comment look like child's play. We need to talk about the grocery money. Longtime viewers will remember that Christine was famously forced to save up her monthly grocery allowance just to visit her ailing father. The family finances were controlled tightly, often funneling into the metaphorical family pot that always seemed to mysteriously drain right into Kody and Robin's driveway in the form of expensive artwork, Dickens villages, and luxury vehicles. But the rumor mill is churning with a much more sinister theory regarding Truly's care. Did Kody Brown actually demand financial compensation, drawn directly from Christine's meager household budget, just to keep an eye on his own daughter? When you look back at his transactional view of relationships, it suddenly doesn't seem so far-fetched. If Kody viewed watching his kids as a service, as babysitting, then babysitters get paid. We saw him withhold intimacy, time, and affection as punishment. Is it really a leap to think he withheld his basic physical presence unless he got something out of it? Christine was hustling. She was doing MLMs, she was carrying the emotional weight of the family, and she was trying to get her real estate license to bring in more income. Kody, meanwhile, was treating her ambition as an inconvenience to his lifestyle. Let's dig deeper into his too busy excuse, because this is where the facade completely crumbles. Kody loves to play the martyr, the exhausted patriarch who was simply stretched too thin, providing for 4 wives and 18 children. But what was he actually doing all day? The cameras captured the reality, and the reality was a man who spent an overwhelming majority of his time at Robyn's house, adopting her children, wiping away her tears, and living a monogamous lifestyle while stringing 3 other women along. He wasn't clocking into a 90-hour work week at a corporate firm. He was managing a reality television show schedule that, by all accounts, was incredibly flexible. He had time to design a massive, ridiculous one-house blueprint that no one wanted. He had time to clear brush on Coyote Pass. He had time to drive a sports car around Flagstaff. But he miraculously never had a free afternoon to spend alone with Truly, so Christine could study. His schedule was a weapon he used to prioritize who he deemed worthy of his time. Robyn and her kids were worthy. Christine, Janelle, Mary, and their children were assigned to the overflow lot. The sheer hypocrisy of Kody demanding the title of the patriarchal head of the family while acting like a deadbeat dad is staggering. A patriarch is supposed to be the foundation. He is supposed to provide not just financial support, but emotional security, guidance, and physical presence. Kody wanted the obedience that comes with the title, but he treated the actual responsibilities like a pesky telemarketer he could just send to voicemail. He expected Christine to be the traditional, submissive wife who raised the kids, cooked the meals, and kept the house. But when she asked for the bare minimum of partnership, 2 hours to study for a test that would help their family, he scoffed at her. He broke the fundamental contract of their plural marriage. He abandoned his post. And yet, he has the audacity to sit in an interview chair today, puffing out his chest, complaining that Christine stripped him of his patriarchal rights. You cannot be stripped of a title you never actually earned. He forfeited his rights the moment he looked at his daughter and saw a burden instead of a blessing. This brings us to the profound isolation Kody finds himself in today, and the complete collapse of his victim narrative. For the last few seasons, Kody has pounded his fists, whining to the heavens that Christine took his child away to Utah. He painted this picture of a loving, desperate father cruelly separated from his baby girl by a spiteful ex-wife. But the internet never forgets, and the footage tells a completely different story. Kody practically begged for this separation for years. Long before Christine packed a single box, Kody had already moved out emotionally and physically. Remember the COVID rules? Those draconian, impossible-to-follow protocols that Kody and Robyn drafted? That wasn't about safety. That was a masterclass in isolation. It was a convenient, medically sanctioned excuse to permanently relocate to Robyn's mansion and avoid the messy, difficult work of parenting his other children. He told his older sons to move out. He refused to travel for Isabel's major spinal surgery, claiming he couldn't be away from Robyn's tender-aged children for that long. He showed Truly, over and over again, that she was not a priority. He created a massive canyon between himself and his daughter, and now he wants to blame Christine for building a bridge to a better life in Utah. Christine didn't steal Truly. She rescued her. She took her to an environment where she wouldn't have to compete for her father's scraps of attention. She took her to a place where her mother's time and energy weren't being drained by a man who refused to lift a finger to help. And the legal system is going to look at this documented history. Custody judges do not care about reality TV storylines. They care about established patterns of care. They care about who the primary caregiver has been for the child's entire life. When Kody's lawyers stand up and demand 50-50 custody, Christine's legal team is going to paint a masterpiece of Kody's absenteeism. They will detail the months he went without seeing her in Flagstaff, living just down the road. They will highlight his refusal to provide hands-on care when they lived in Vegas. They will show how he prioritized his own comfort over his daughter's needs time and time again. The narrative that he is an equal parent is a delusion manufactured for his bruised ego, and it is going to be spectacularly dismantled in a court of law. This brings us to the absolute point of no return in this entire custody saga. And it is the moment where Kody Brown's reality television fantasies violently collide with the cold, hard, unyielding math of the family court system. We have to talk about the impending financial catastrophe that is looming over Kody and Robyn's sprawling Flagstaff estate. When you step into a family court to fight over custody and child support, the judge does not care about your talking head interviews. They do not care about your dramatic sighs, your weird analogies about knives in the kidneys, or your demands to be respected as the patriarch. The court cares about documentation, precedent, and the historical division of labor and financial contribution. And for Kody, his historical documentation is a decade and a half of high-definition television footage, proving that he fundamentally outsourced the physical, emotional, and financial heavy lifting of raising Truly entirely to Christine. When Kody smugly declared on national television that he is not a babysitter, he handed Christine's legal team the ultimate blank check. Because if he admits he was not contributing the daily, hourly labor of parenting, the court is going to calculate exactly how much those non-babysitting years are worth in back pay. In many jurisdictions, when a parent files for formal child support after years of separation or disproportionate care, the court can look backward. They can look at the years where Christine was functioning as a single mother, covering the grocery bills, the clothing, the medical expenses, and the sheer hourly cost of childcare that Kody actively refused to provide. Think about the staggering medical debt from Isabel's surgery alone, a situation where Kody refused to travel, refused to help, and suggested his teenage daughter wait in agonizing pain or go by herself so he wouldn't have to be inconvenienced. Christine scrambled to find the funds, to raise the money, to secure the insurance, and to provide the post-operative care entirely on her own. The court looks at that. The court tallies that up. Every single time Kody rolled his eyes at the prospect of watching his own children, he was adding another zero to the eventual judgment against him. Christine's lawyers can methodically go through the timeline of Truly's life, laying out the fact that Kody's presence in her daily routine was virtually non-existent, and therefore, his financial obligation to compensate the primary caregiver is monumental. This isn't just about a monthly check moving forward. This is about a massive, retroactive equalization payment that could hit Kody and Robyn's bank accounts like a meteor. We all know how Kody and Robyn live. We have seen the cluttered McMansion packed to the brim with expensive Dickens Village collectibles, the massive geodes, the luxury artwork, the David Yurman jewelry, and the fleet of vehicles. They have been living large on the combined family income for years, effectively siphoning resources that should have been distributed evenly among all the children. But the family court system has a way of leveling the playing field. If a judge calculates the arrears owed to Christine for 14 years of uncompensated, unsupported child-rearing, it could result in a catastrophic financial judgment that Kody simply cannot talk his way out of. He can't use his chaotic charm or his aggressive posturing to intimidate a judge who is just looking at a spreadsheet. The irony is absolutely poetic. The man who refused to watch his daughter for 2 hours for free is now facing the reality of paying for thousands of hours of care at a premium legal rate. This is the ultimate unraveling of the Kody Brown empire. The very logic he used to excuse himself from the unglamorous work of fatherhood is the exact legal framework that will bankrupt him. He treated Christine like an unpaid employee whose only job was to make his life easier, never realizing that in the eyes of the law, that kind of relentless, one-sided domestic labor has massive value. And now, the bill has come due. Robyn, who has sat comfortably in her hilltop fortress while the rest of the wives scrapped for resources, is about to feel the very real financial sting of her husband's weaponized incompetence. The Coyote Pass property, the artwork, the comfortable monogamous retirement they envisioned, all of it is suddenly on the chopping block because Kody couldn't be bothered to be a father when it mattered. He wanted the control without the cost, and he is about to learn that in the real world, the cost of neglect is ruinous. Christine has already won the ultimate victory. She secured her peace, she secured her daughter's happiness, and she built a beautiful, thriving life completely independent of the toxic chaos in Flagstaff. Truly is surrounded by a massive, supportive extended family and a mother who never once viewed her as an inconvenience. But this final legal battle is the nail in the coffin for Kody's public and private facade. It is the definitive proof, stamped and verified by the legal system, that his version of events is a complete fabrication. He is not the victim. He is a man who walked out on the bill for 14 years, and the universe has just handed it to a collections agency. The babysitter blunder will go down in reality TV history as one of the most expensive self-owns ever broadcast. Thank you so much for deep diving into this absolute mess with me today. If you are as fascinated by the downfall of Kody Brown's patriarchal delusions as I am, and you want to stay up to date on every single development in this custody battle, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. Give this video a like to help push it out to the rest of the Sister Wives community, and get down in the comments and tell me what you think. Do you think Kody and Robyn will actually have to sell off their assets to pay Christine the back child support she deserves? Let me know your theories down below, and I will see you in the next expose.